Hello and welcome to Viewpoint. I'm joined today by Olena Tregub. She's a director at Ukraine's Economy Ministry for coordination of international assistance. Olena, many thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Olena, we wanted to talk to you today about reform in Ukraine. It's a topic which has featured heavily in the media and I think on the minds of all Ukrainians and people who watch this country, especially ever since we had the Maidan. So sort of about 2 years ago now, 18 months, thousands of people on the streets. They wanted change, they wanted to move closer to Europe, and they wanted to get rid of corruption in this country. I was wondering if you could tell us, you've sort of been on the front line, if I could put it that way, of getting reforms done in this country over that time. Tell us, what is your views, what's your review, how's it been from your side of the equation?
Well, that's absolutely right. I came to Ukraine basically from abroad, where I used to live for the last 10 years, to help Ukraine implement reforms because I'm a Ukrainian patriot and I was really inspired by Maidan. I wanted to come and help out. I have international experience, I have a degree in international diplomacy, so I thought such skills and education would be needed in Ukraine. And
you were coming from the US, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I came from Washington, D.C., and before I was based in New York. And so I came and I joined Ministry of Economy to coordinate international assistance.
And this is international funds, donors, governments as well, who are giving money to this country to help with the reform process.
The Ministry of Economy is the national coordinator of international assistance. It means we have to coordinate all the assistance across the whole country, across all ministries. And we're talking about grants. We're also talking about projects of the development banks, like World Bank, EBRD, all this type of investment projects.
And so, there has been definitely money made available for Ukraine, hasn't there, in this time, since the Maidan? There has been something to work with. Tell us, how has that process actually happened in practice? Where has that money gone? Has it always been used efficiently? What kind of problems have you encountered trying to put that to work?
So there was a spike in international assistance amount right after Maidan. I think it was almost doubled for 1 year. Right now it has decreased. But the problem is that Ukraine doesn't have a good system of managing international assistance. International assistance is supposed to be country-driven, demand-driven, and this is actually my task, to implement this kind of reform. Ukraine should know where to spend the money. What are Ukrainian priorities? We have to have the national development strategy, and we have to align this assistance with this strategy.
And so at the moment, this is where we are sort of failing, or this is where we don't have this strategy. We don't exactly know what to do with the money.
Well, I wouldn't say failing, that's too strong to say, but there is still work to be done. We have, as you know, we have 5 strategic documents: IMF Memorandum, Association Agreement, Government Action Plan, Strategy 2020, then Coalition Agreement, and all of those are considered to be country strategies. And also we have National Reform Council, where we determine that we have 18 reform priorities in this country. And so I have to take all this into consideration when I coordinate international assistance. But usually the international partners tell me there are too many priorities. You need to have 3-4 priorities. You have 18. It's hard to determine what is more important, you know, for the country. And that's why we keep working in this area.
What could these 3 or 4 priorities be?
Well, for example, you decide what's more important for Ukrainian economy. And
so, for example, small and medium-sized business, making a better business climate in Ukraine for small and medium-sized business, and breaking up the oligarchy.
If you decide this is the area we should focus on for Ukraine to break through, then you focus only on deregulation, on creating good business environment. You focus on supporting SMEs, growing this SME culture in Ukrainian society.
Small and medium-sized
enterprises. And you put all the money into this field. Or you decide that tax reform is crucial, and reforming all the tax administrations and doing something similar with them that we did with petrol police.
And we can say, I mean, we could probably decide, I mean, making small and medium-sized businesses, for example, a priority, that would be a good thing. I mean, you see in other economies, in the US, for example, in Britain, I mean, the economy is built on small and medium-sized enterprises.
Exactly, but there should be many considerations before you say it is a priority. You should think whether Ukrainian society is ready for this, if we put money into this, whether people will actually go and join small, medium businesses, will create their businesses, or there are other obstacles for them. And that's why we now have all those 18 priorities, like constitutional reform, anti-corruption reform,
yes.
Judicial reform.
Yeah.
You would say, some people say judicial reform is the top priority, but then this priority is not that much relevant for international assistance because it's more internal thing.
Sure. I mean, for example, like judicial reform, I mean, if, for example, we saw some high-profile arrests and some people go to jail for corruption, I mean, that would surely give everyone a boost. I mean, that would be good for the Ukrainian public.
Absolutely.
International donors would see that there's some real progress being made here. So would you agree that that's, for example, you know, something like that?
I absolutely agree with that. My task is to actually think about how international community can help.
Yes.
In doing so, if we throw money on the problem, will we help? Will we help Ukrainian judicial system to put some people behind bars actually, or we need to do something more political for that?
Okay.
That's why. It's hard. You also need to coordinate this international assistance according to where it makes sense, where it's relevant.
So for you, Olena, is it more about not so much trying to fundamentally change the system that we have here, because that's going to change slowly over time, we hope. But for you, you have this money from international donors. Are you trying to find ways to make it work effectively within the kind of incomplete, slightly broken system that we have now in Ukraine? Is that a fair way to summarize?
Well, yeah, you can say so. Since, ideally, it would be great to have one national development plan for the country, just one, and then to have all these sectorial strategies, like national health plan, like strategy for reforming transportation industry. And when we have this thing, it's very easy then to coordinate assistance and determine what is priority, because we have everything lined up. We don't have it yet in the country, and that's why I'm trying to balance and trying to do something with what we already have. But ideally, I hope in the future, after local election, Ukraine will have clear vision.
Yes, these local elections, we've just had them. In fact, yesterday the votes are still being
everyone
counted.
hopes it will speed up reforms.
Yeah.
It will also give Ukrainian authorities a clear understanding of where we need to move right now, because you see, Ukraine was under reform for so many years,
yes.
and there are so many areas that are in such bad condition that Ukrainians just don't know where to start to reform their country. If you ask population here, according to sociological polls, for them the most important priority is health reform. Health. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you see, if from the point of view of
you sound surprised actually. Health reform, that's not what you had in mind, or you don't see that as
it's absolutely critical. It's absolutely critical, but you need to think also from the strategic point of view of a country. If you want to boost your economy, if you now focus on reforming only health,
yes.
and you put all the donor money into health, then is it sustainable? Does it mean our country will grow economically, like within next year?
Yeah. So you want to put that money in places where it's going to grow long term.
Absolutely. We are interested in sustainable growth,
yes.
in sustainable development. That's why we are looking into areas where money will actually help us grow without future international assistance, because we are now recipient of international aid. But we eventually want to become a donor ourselves, like
yes.
Poland has become, like Romania has become. Only several years ago they were recipients, and now they are giving money to Moldova, to Ukraine.
Yes, and you're hoping for a similar sort of turnaround here
absolutely.
Within a decade, maybe.
Hopefully.
But I just wonder, when you say about health, and for example, people want health, and a lovely, beautiful, shiny new healthcare system would win a lot of votes, and people would really love that. So it makes me think you must face political pressure about where to put this money, because
this is the biggest problem. That's why we cannot determine. We don't have. You see, Ukrainian political class is not mature to the extent that they can come together and agree this is best for the country, and let's put all money here. Instead, we have different stakeholders who say my thing is the most important. No, my thing is the most important, and that's why we have all this struggle happening, and that's why it's so hard to coordinate this assistance. And ideally, of course, it should be different, because as I said earlier, the country should develop in a more strategic way. The idea of aid effectiveness is such that aid should go into the country and the aid should transform the country. If we talk about health, there should be national health plan, national plan for reform in health sector.
No, we have a very short time left. I have to cut you off,
Sure.
I'm afraid. So, final word, Ukraine has aid coming in, but we need a plan.
Yes, we need a plan. Also, we need to make sure that the aid is used transparently. We are opening a new web portal, the Aid Transparency Portal, where all citizens of Ukraine will see how they can benefit from this aid. If you are IDP, if you are small medium business, you can just in one click find all the projects for you, all loans, all grants, everything which is out there.
Many, many thanks for joining us. It's a fascinating project. We hope that it will happen just as you've told us today.
Thank you. It will happen.
You're watching Viewpoint. We've been joined today by Olena Tregub. She's a director at Ukraine's Ministry of Economy. She's a director of International Aid Coordination. Many thanks for watching. You're watching Ukraine Today. This has been Viewpoint.